Hey guys, what's going on? It's the NRL Fantasy Fanatic coming at you for the NRL Supercoach season, round number 4 and round number 5, ranked at 930, and I know I'm going to be a day late getting this video out, but I have some extremely exciting news. My wife and I just gave birth to a new baby boy, our first child, so we're late in this week's video because we're at the hospital and we just got discharged today, and I'm making my video late on a Wednesday night at 10:34 p.m. as you can see down below, as we just got back in the last couple of hours. Wanted to make this out, put it together, and then wrap it up and pretty much push it out tomorrow evening for you all before next round's kickoff. But everything's going well on my side. Baby boy couldn't be any more healthier than what he is. He's a couple of weeks earlier than intended, but that's the way the baby bounces sometimes. Anyway, getting back into the Supercoach spirit of things, it's good to be back. It's good to be back in the top 1,000. So, had an absolute stellar week. As you can see, we were ranked back 930th. We're trailing just in that top 1,000 as we were 2 weeks ago, and then we just popped out for a little bit. But looking at my team, how did they go? All across the park, we did pretty well across each position. The only thing that seems to have let me down compared to most super coaches out there that did extremely well, and compared to my great result, was that they had captain Papenhuyzen at 193 points. It was absolutely amazing. It's killer. But if I start from the top, we've got Reed Mahoney, 56. Now, a lot of people have shied away from Reed Mahoney, a lot of trade outs. I think the hooker position this year is one of the most hardest positions to pick because you have to fill it up with 2 spots compared to NRL Fantasy. And the fact that most people would have gone with Randall, there's a lot of people who would have gone Api Carousel, only due to be disappointed the last couple of weeks as he's averaged, below 40 and gone down in price after he looked very promising. And that's a trade that I just didn't make because I thought, Reed Mahoney's got those games in him. 56, people might be saying, look, he still lost money. It's he's still going to lose money next week if he doesn't hit 76, if he's based off his average. But the reality is, we know he's a good super coach scorer and a fantasy scorer for that matter. I think that you just got to hold on to these guys through thick and thin. You obviously came up with a game plan at the start of the season and you want to see it through. And the only way to, I think in most cases, is just to hold on to those guys. And that's going to be the theme of this video, is the amount of people chasing the almighty points. We see players that have 1 or 2 good weeks, even though they might not have the best break even, they're chasing that player because they think that that player is going to be like the merry-go-round of success for the next couple of weeks there and beyond. Like 1 or 2 weeks of points is going to be the new trend for them, when there's going to be things that you can easily pull out, attacking stats, potential tries that they scored, and maybe they would have scored lower than what they should have. But I think you just got to make smart trades, and we're going to see that throughout this video. But we'll keep going and talking about my team. So we got Payne, Haas, who was my captain. 83 might be in trouble with the whole punch on with Albert Kelly for stepping on his shoes. Joshua King, we said last week in our video, in fact in the title, Joshua King is a must, and that one's proven to be paying off his dividends now, because Craig Bellamy came out earlier this week and said, look, he will be playing the bigger minutes. He wasn't at Newcastle. They kind of just had him for that one job, but at Melbourne, he seems to have untapped his potential, and they want to play him at that lock position. He's held the spot at the 13th man, while Brandon Smith is still number 14th in the interchange. So I think this FRF, front row forwards, are the hardest this year, along with the hookers, to get completely right. Payne Haas, I think, is, for most people, easily considered to be a pick and stick. But the third and fourth, not so much, because you want to get cheapies in there. Max King was a no-brainer, as was Leo Thompson. But Josh King, we just kind of didn't know what was going on with the whole Harry Grant situation, and also Brandon Smith, whether they'd push him out his minutes. But hey, as long as he's getting 50 minutes plus, I think we can still see these scores. Anything above 40, and I think it's a bonus. We're paying below 400k. We brought him in. He's made some money. His break-even's negative 16. He's doing well. Dave Fifita, our next man, everyone seems to be trading him out. He has still money to lose, 89. Going off his average is 59.8. Now, a lot of people are sitting there trading him out, saying he's not getting involved, he's not doing that much. Even though he's playing 80 minutes, he's just to the side, and overall just not being that marquee player he was in the last couple of years. My argument here is that at the end of the day, the guy's averaging 60 points a game. That is still considerably high across the board for most Supercoach players. If you consider your top 20 players, if all of them were getting above 60 on average, you'd be absolutely cheering. Yes, we're paying overs for Fifita, undoubtedly, because we know points per minute is going down and whatever else, and the money's kind of not lining up with what his dollar value is. But to trade him out, I think is very short-sightedness. I think at the end of the day, stick to the game plan. He's a pick and stick. He will... Look, undoubtedly, he's got those big games in him. We just haven't seen it yet. It only takes one or two big runs from Dave Fifita to get those huge scores, right? To get a couple of tackle busts and fall off with an offload or even get a try. Reality is, it could just be around the corner, and it's not like he's bottoming me out. It's not like he's getting below 40 points, So I think you got to hold him. Josh Curran's always been consistent, 49, probably the lowest score that we've seen this year, but hey, you're going to get that. Viliame Kikau, people were against the fact that I brought him in 2 weeks ago. There wasn't a lot of praise for Viliame. They said, look, what happens when he lays an egg and gets absolutely nothing? Look, the reality is the guy's explosive. They like going down his edge a lot, even though sometimes they use him as a decoy or they cut out to the wing and center, because the Panthers got a lot of strike across the park. But Viliame's got those big games in him. I think he's done a solid job. He's killing it. Loving what he's doing. Nate Butcher is another player. Interesting enough, when I got him, it was less than 300 coaches, and now he's just above 3,000 coaches, so there's still not a lot of owners across the park for Nate Butcher. If you're looking to bring in a second rower, I don't think Nate Butcher's the guy for you now. He's still a hold, even though long-term he might not be in your top 25 Supercoach gun players. The reality is, until he goes to the bench or until we see less minutes, I think he's still a hold. And when they played the Cowboys, he didn't seem overly that involved or under the watchful eye of the cameras because he just didn't have a lot of carries and hit-ups, but he made a lot of tackles. He doesn't miss a lot of tackles. If anything, his base stats are great. A lot of upside. Can't complain. Break even 56. He might not get it. Doesn't matter. It's not like he's going to lose much money. Bo Firma, absolutely killing it. We know he was off last week because of the whole COVID situation. I'll most likely reserve him this week over Schneider, but I didn't have him last week because he didn't play. Tuilagi was disappointing. Moses absolutely killed it. Probably played his best game in, I'm going to say, the last 3 years. Probably one of his better performances over his Parramatta career, in fact. 144 points. He set up his own try. He set up another try. He had that cool, skill shot from Bryce Cartwright around the back corner when he flicked it like an NBA player. Got the try in the corner. He was just over-involved. What seems to be scary is that heaps of people are bringing him in after one result. We'll have a look at that when we look at the trade-ins, but I had Schneider as well, bit 38. Raiders were a bit lackluster. Jack Wighton still got 70. Hey. Can't complain. Amone, super disappointing, -1, killing me. As for the rest of the team, can't really complain. Bird, Aitken, Tego, Penasini, May. Funnily enough, all my centers killed it. My second row was filling in at the center. Got average, good base scores. That's what we wanted to see. Koula played off his brain, and it was good to see that he was going to get another call-up this week, but the news has just come out in the last 2 hours that he's got a cork in his leg and he's been completely removed from the squad, which is killing it. It's like a merry-go-round with this guy. 1 minute he's in, 1 minute he's out. He doesn't get a run in the first week, and now that he does in the centers, he plays well. In fact, I actually thought he played well beyond what Brad Parker could have offered, or what most of the backs could have offered. Anyway, he's obviously got speed and some skill. Papenhuyzen and Tedesco killed it as well. So, there's not a lot of things that I can change in my team or that I want to change in my team immediately. The only problems I've got is Amone. There was some trades I made up here where I kicked a player out, moved one up to second row, which is Bo Firma, pushed the center in, moved Amone over Lachlan Ilias, and the fact of the matter is, I was probably better off kicking Amone than Ilias, but, you know, what are you going to do? Looks like Amone is now starting 14 again. I don't expect big minutes. That team is chopping and changing. Anthony Griff, the Griff Dogs, Hook isn't all that inviting about it, so I think he's going to be a move on. Probably going to have to bite my time and bring in Lachlan Ilias. The only other option there is Jock Madden, who's got negative 30. The only problem with Jock Madden is that he probably only has one game left. Hastings is bound to return next week. And, you know, while Jock Madden might be 60k less, have a negative break even, probably will make money. The fact of the matter is, if I just bring in Lachlan Ilias will probably play over State of Origin. He gives me that little bit more coverage over that Origin period. Jock Madden probably doesn't, so Jock Madden will probably be another trade out. Sucks. We know Lachlan Ilias may not have the most to offer, but I'm probably going to pull him in, and that's going to be my only trade. Get me another 30 grand. As for other trades, yeah, it's kind of tough right now because Haas was just announced as possibly suspended with Albert Kelly. Will that suspension be immediately? And the Broncos have to not play with Haas this week? I'm not sure. Is it going to be for 2-3 weeks? We don't know. Watch this space. We'll see how that all plays out. If he's out for 3 weeks, I'll probably trade him. To be honest, holding 600k on a spot which is extremely vulnerable, your front row forwards, is not so great. Who I'm going to trade him into, I don't even know at this point. I might put it down in the comments just before kickoff on Thursday, just to clarify what I ended up doing. But at the moment, I don't have to make many trades, and that's kind of a luxury when your team does extremely well. But what I have noticed, and if we go to the player research over here, what is happening? What are the trade-ins? What are the trade-outs? No-brainers. Talon May, traded in. Break-even's unbelievable. Negative something, something, something. In fact, we've got it all here. Negative 126. Like, absolute no-brainer. The only problem is, he's got that assault charge that's just randomly popped up. Is he going to face a suspension? Will the suspension be immediately? We know he's going to court. Will the NRL integrity unit get involved? These are all questions we don't know yet. So if he is playing, you got to pull him in. He's going to make so much money, and he seems to be extremely solid. He's that bigger, bulkier winger who can make those tackle busts and also line breaks. I don't expect him to score, several tries a game like he has been. It's been a bit freakish. So I don't expect him to get 97 or average 101.5 for the next week. Could he do it? Possibly. They're up against the Dogs. That could go down his edge. We don't really know. Undoubtedly will make money. Just needs to play. So I totally get that. Koula again. Or Koula. Some people are pronouncing it. Totally understand that one as well. Unfortunately, he's just been unnamed from the squad, which sucks. Talatau is an interesting one because he didn't get the center wing position, and people are pulling him in because of all the tackle busts he made last week and the week before, and he's killing it. I say this with great hesitation. I don't like spending too much money on my centers when they're playing center. That's because they're prone to have games that they don't score. Like they just won't get the ball. Or if they're up against and defending against another center who's really good defensively, like a Dane Gagai. Dane Gagai doesn't allow other centers to get big scores or to get those tackle busts. Talatau, I can totally understand why people... And I was kind of looking at his scores just to get a bit of a glimpse if I was that desperate. Because I'm not that desperate to pull someone in that second row spot or even flick another person out in the center spot if I kick Bo Furman back down to center. I can't do it. Like, I get negative 42. The main pitch for me in all this is that there are a lot of people who can make money right now for your team with negative break-evens, but you don't need to get every cash cow. Like, let's have a look now at the cash cows that are available. Brad Schneider, We're confident he's got a lot more games under his belt before Jamal Fogarty comes back. Negative 36 solid. We know he's going to be coming. 264 grand basement price. Koula, negative 6, 175 grand basement price. Josh King, 392, still low, not basement. Good price. Dearden, negative 13. You know, Dylan Brown, negative 44. Taylor May. Tago was still negative 25. Lachlan, Ilias, negative 30. You don't need every single cash cow in order to propel your team. Especially when you have reasonable suspicion to think that maybe the cash cow may backfire. I just think that with Talatau playing in the centres, and that there's not a lot of data out of him out there playing in the centres. I think there was a game where he got 39, another one 45 when he played centre over the years. And of course, obviously, you know, every year different players go to different strengths or weaknesses. Obviously, he's coming onto a big year for himself. I just don't know. Like, I don't know how I would pull him into my team. Like, I could kick out Nate Butcher. If I'm thinking about cash cows for me who have kind of like hit their level, perfect example for me would be Nate Butcher, right? 536. He's probably peaked, but do I think he's going to score another 55 or another 60? Yes. There's no need for me to kick him out just yet. Absolutely none. Curran, kick out for Fifita. Look, I know there's a common trade out there for Fifita too. Talatau, but I don't like it. I get what people want to do, make money, pull him in. It's just the raw problem when you have a center and you're relying on him to have a big game. Now, he will make money undoubtedly next week and probably the week after, but if he has one of those games where he gets like 10 points, all of a sudden that break even becomes 30, and all of a sudden his life becomes way more difficult in terms of breaking that money, and then, okay, I need to make another trade to pull him out in the end. And that's kind of a trap I fell for earlier this year with Will Smith. Negative 55 break even. He got like 28, made me some cash, but then his break even went to 35, and I was like, well, wow. So in order for him to keep going up, because he's already at 434, he just needs to keep those big numbers pulling over, like at least another 40 next week. Like, that's what his average, what does it say? He has averaged 76 from his last 3 matches. Break even of 36. Increase in value 67. He's playing the Tigers. Look, if he's going to score a try and go big, it's probably going to be against the Tigers. I'm saying all these things that are making me thinking about how I bring him in. But I've just got so many cash cows at the moment that I'm not worried about missing one when I need to keep scoring points but also making money. Now, if I had the money to bring in Talatau straight in for Tuilagi, absolutely would do that undoubtedly, but I don't, and I'd have to burn 2 trades, and I'd have to get rid of a keeper to make that happen. I just can't see it happening. I think Fifita will outscore Talatau this week. You know, he is against the Eels. I just think he's got that natural position, being in the second row. You know, I just don't like it. I don't like it. Don't understand why people are doing it. Papenhuyzen, no brainer. Look, you probably should have had him from round 1, but I can see a lot of people are getting rid of Turbo now because he's injured, bringing in Pap. Harry Grant, geez, I'm a little bit surprised at the moment about the Harry Grant movement. I thought if people were going to pull that trigger, might have been 2 weeks earlier. Dylan Brown, you know what? Although he's scored well beyond his last year's average, I actually think Dylan Brown is super going to have a super year. You can just tell he's running the ball a lot more with determination and with a bit more tack. Last year, all of his stats were just defensive stats, but this year he's had some really good line breaks. Obviously, Brad Arthur's gotten in his ear. He's bulked up another 7 kilos, and you might not think like 7 kilos rugby league, that's not much. You got to remember, guys like 20, 21 years old, putting on an extra 7 kilos in that really young period when you still got a lot of energy to burn, and he's obviously extremely fit, that can play the full 80, no dramas. He's going to have those games under him. I definitely think he's going to be making money. The problem is I have Moses, and I don't like having both of my halves from the same team, because if the team just goes, if the team has an off game, generally both of your halves aren't going to score well. There's going to be no try assist. Yeah, there's just too many complications there. Not saying that you should never pair up teammates or halves pairings, but yeah. 1 second. Neighbor knock on the door. So yeah, Dylan Brown, I can I can understand why people are bringing him in at 5'8". I can totally understand why people are bringing in Moses as well simultaneously. The only problem I have with the Moses trade is that if you didn't believe in someone like Moses at the start of the year, why are you doing it now? And it goes again for that whole argument of who are you trading out in order to bring him in? And if you're trading out a Nico Hines because he had one average result, and you captain Nico Hines because you believed all the hype and all the people, all the videos out there were telling you, bring in Nico Hines. He's playing absolutely, above everyone's standard. He's the highest Supercoach scorer. It's not a trap in that you get fooled because someone's well above what their price line is, or that a coach is quickly going to trade them out. It's a trap in that you swallowed up too much information from the public out there and just went with the sheep. And the problem is, and you'll see this, the top Supercoach scorers are going to continue to break away from everyone else, because if everyone makes the same trade, makes the same assumption, while they're making all these unique players, or have all these unique players that most people don't have, and those players, or pods, players of difference, points of difference, depends how you want to put it. All they need to do is have a couple of bigger games, and then that gap becomes impossible to kind of gel together. So I'm surprised. Like, -13 is not a big break even. He's projected to score 111 points. Really? They're playing the Titans. They played him in round 1. He didn't get near 111 points. I'm surprised. I'm actually really surprised. Yeah. We'll have a bit more of a discussion on that when we look at trade outs. Joey Manu, I can totally see why people are bringing him in. Looks solid, running the ball. He's recovered from his cheekbone accident. Josh King, bringing him in. Ideally, he would have done it last week, but it is what it is. Bo Firma, people are just trying to cash in before Bowie plays another game. Totally understand. Trade outs, Amone, I got it. Tony Staggs is another one. I'm kind of looking at this like, if we look at most trades, so May, Koula, May, Grant, May, Koula, May, Talakai for Bullemor. Yeah, okay. That's why we're seeing more Talakais, because they're still holding on to Bullemor. But if we're just looking at this for a second, the traded outs, Tony Staggs, he's lost 50 grand overall. It's not that much money. Yeah, he's gonna have a high break even. I just don't agree with the notion of just a player just having a couple of bad games like a Fifita and just pulling him out. Like, it's not like he's off form. He just hasn't got a lot of ball. Cobbo's outside him. Cobbo could have scored a few tries, and Staggs should have gotten at least 3 more assists across the year. It just didn't happen. Cobbo's been bled into the team. He's only got so many games under his belt. I still think it's single digits. Bullemor, yep, looks to be in trouble. Same as Sloan. Fifita, look at that, 5,000 trade outs. You know what's ironic about the whole Fifita thing is that if he goes out and gets 80, 90 points this week, the same 4,935 people that traded him out are going to want to trade him back in. Cobbo, jeez, Anyway. Fidow injured. Peter Hiku. Hey, we talked about this 3 weeks ago. Guys bring Hiku in because he had, 1 or 2 good games. And then they get rid of him. We've got to get out of that habit. you're just going to burn through trades when you're doing short-term trades like that. And, you know, I still fall for that sometimes too. But Peter Hiku, like, the writing was on the wall. The drawing was on the wall. The writing was on the wall a while ago that Hiku was in trouble. Not in trouble. Based on his last year's stats, averaged pretty low. And that you can't just be drawn in by that one result. He's playing center wing fullback. There's so many other center wing fullbacks that you could have had, but hey, it is what it is. So, yeah, I mean, I still think we're only 5 rounds in, and I think that number one trap is just people pulling the trigger and following the results very quickly without reading beneath the numbers. Like a player, if they have 1 or 2 bad games, you can't just flick them. You can't do it with the guns. You're just going to look back in a couple of weeks and be like, geez, I've got no trades. Where'd they all go? And you're going to find that it's basically, you left him here. You left him at this point just by pushing him out. But without further ado, let's have a look at the number one team at the moment. 4,785 points. So they're doing exceptionally well. Average points per round, 1,196. You know, that's easily attainable by anyone watching this video. Just make the smart moves. And again, look, when you captain the right player, you're not going to get it every week. Unfortunately for me, I haven't got my first 4 weeks. But hey, I could do it for the next 4 in a row. I just get the best player and I captain him and it's all dandy. But Pat absolutely killed it. I think if you just make the right captain's choice, a lot of your problems can go away. Like, you can have an average week, but if you captain a guy that gets nearly 200 points, you've just made 400 points with one player. That's nuts. Where sometimes captains, my first week's captain, James Tedesco, I think got 38, which is killing me. But anyway, going through his team. What are the points of difference? What has he got? Taylor May, Tedesco, Haas, Kickow, Cameron Murray. Man, he's killing it this year, isn't he? He's absolutely killing it. Will Penasini, Tago, Wighton, Tomalolu, Josh King, Blake Brayley, Mann. Mann's also been killing it. Especially if you've got him at the center position, you're filling in like one of those disaster roles. Nicholas Hines, Appy, Max King, Hiku, Schneider, Munster, Tuilagi, Jermaine Brown, Amone, Bullemor, Ben Travojevic, and Schiller. So, you know, we could easily catch this team. Our team is so different, and I'm sure there's a lot of teams out there that are a lot different to his as well. This is a solid team. Absolutely. Got all the right ingredients. Has a lot of guns. The Ben Travojevic pick is an interesting one for me. I think they're just trying to fill up the holes of players with a player that he knew wasn't going to get a call up. He is good for Origin cover because when all the Travojevic brothers gets the call up, you know, he's going to fill in that spot somewhere, more than likely. So, kind of see what's happening there. Similar with my team, I've got the 1 or 2 players that are not scoring. So Schiller, obviously, he was named, just hasn't been named again. Oof, that's a bit iffy. Going to see what happens with that one. It only takes 1 or 2 more injuries for Schiller to come back in, but we'll have to see if Ricky did indeed like him or wasn't a fan. I got the opinion that he wasn't a big fan of him, but hey, is what it is. So this is my Supercoach team for the week. Those are the trades. Well, actually, those aren't the trades I was looking to do. So the trades, as I mentioned earlier in the video, Amone to Lachlan, Ilias, and maybe Payne Haas, pending the suspension issue. I think there's a lot of easy trades for you guys to make out there. Taylor May, just watch for the news, see if he's going to get suspended. Talatau, if you're looking for a second rower, you know, for the Bullemor trade, really good as well. Koula, maybe hold off for a week because we know he's out. But yeah, guys, just trade smart. Don't get desperate. Don't just pull the trigger finger on anyone and everyone. Make sure your trades make sense. You know, make them, put them in, understand why you're doing them, and go from there. But best of luck, everyone. Be sure to hit the subscribe button if you're still watching. Hit that like button down below. Super appreciate the support. This has been 30 minutes, and all the best. Whoosh.